Hi friends, good evening. Hope all of you are doing really good. Today I wanted to make a quick video on how one should plan classes for CA final between your intermediate exams and final exams. That is from the time you have your results out for intermediate and till you become eligible for writing CA final. I think you are going to get approximately 2.5 years time, right? So it's very important that we plan our classes properly. I have seen many students who will be keeping their classes planned only for last 6 to 8 months, which I feel is not a very good strategy because of two reasons. Number one is that when you take all your classes in last 6 to 8 months, it means that for 2 years you haven't done anything as far as your studies is concerned, and all that you're doing is focusing only on articleship, right? So the big problem here is that when you are away from studies for 2 years, you completely get out of touch with studies, and it becomes very difficult to do that transition of switching back to studies in last 6 to 8 months with so much of pressure on your mind about completing the subjects, then revising it, then writing both the groups. Okay, so it becomes very difficult. This is a flawed approach of going towards CA final. On the contrary, what I suggest you to do is that along with your articleship, let's say the time during which your results are coming out and you start looking for articleship opportunities, this entire time, let's say, takes around 6 months time, 2 months for your results, and then 3 to 4 months you take for finding a right articleship opportunity for yourself and getting comfortable with the work environment, because you step into a new experience altogether. So you take your time, get comfortable with your articleship, and once you settle down, then after 6 months, you should, maybe when you still have 2 years time, you should plan your classes. I know the botheration for you right now will be that, sir, if I plan my classes 2 years in advance, isn't it going to change and I will have to retake the classes and all? It's not like that. That is why I am making this video, to guide you on what can be possibly the best strategy to plan your classes. Okay, so now with 2 years in hand, let's say that last 3 months we don't want to take any classes, right? We don't want to take any classes in last 3 months, because I strongly believe last 3 months is where you have to sit back home and slog yourself for 12 to 15 hours every day. That I feel is the biggest success mantra in CA final. Last 3 months, no classes, you sit back home and you prepare yourself. Okay, if not 3 months, at least 2.5 months you should have where you are not taking any classes and you sit back home and you study. That's how you have to plan it. Okay, now so what you need to do is, when with 2 years in hand, the best way to proceed is to take classes for either SFM, which is paper number 2 in group 1, or costing, that is paper number 5, and it is the first paper of group 2, right? So you can start with one of these two papers. The reason why I'm saying this is because these are the two subjects which are least prone to changes. Okay, so these two subjects have very limited possibility of having any changes. Even if changes are there, like few questions might be added up, that is very easy to tackle. There's no such thing like amendments or change in the curriculum does not happen on a drastic manner, right? So these two subjects is what I feel you should start with your classes for CA final with. Moreover, these are two heavyweight subjects. They need a lot of practice. They are more or less practical subjects with a lot of focus on practical number solving thing, right? So you have to take classes for these two subjects first. I personally feel it's better to go with one subject at a time, because this is the first time we are taking classes for CA final, and we don't want to go very much in haste and put ourselves under a lot of pressure. I personally feel that it's better that you take one subject first, spend around 3 to 4 months in that, and then go for the second one. But these two subjects should be your first preference, one subject of group 1 and one of group 2. Take these two subjects one at a time, take around 6 to 8 months time, and finish off these two subjects. Okay, so another important thing is, when you're taking classes, obviously you have your articleship and you're taking classes either in morning or evening. One thing you need to ensure on your part is that you have to go on track with the faculty. Like you have to come back home and revise this stuff and then go for your subsequent class. Otherwise taking classes will not make any sense. We are not taking classes for namesake, we are taking it so that along with classes you should be able to finish at least 60% of your syllabus. If you see, this is going to work magical for you in 1.5 years time. When you finish off your classes, you have taken classes slowly and gradually. Along with the classes, if you are able to cope up, if you are able to cover up the stuff taught in the class, you are doing homeworks as given by your faculties, respective faculties, it becomes very easy for you. Because in last 3 months, when you are going to sit back home and study, because that is the time when even from your articleship you got a leave, you have no classes to take, so you have all your time in hand, you can sit back home and study. This is the time when you can just now start revising the stuff that has been taught to you in the class. So a lot depends on how serious you were about taking your classes at first place, in which case it becomes very easy for you to revise this stuff in the last 3 months. And 2 to 3 revisions if you have done by the time you write exam, including your revision done from day one when you started taking classes till exam, if I am doing 3 revisions, I obviously stand very good chances of passing the exam. Okay, if you do everything in a systematic manner during these 2 years, life is gonna be very easy for you. Okay, so once you're done with these 2 subjects, which takes around 6 to 7 months time, then after that you should target FR and auditing. These 2 subjects I feel you should plan classes next. uh, FR, I don't feel going forward now there are going to be a lot of changes. The drastic changes which had to happen have already happened. India's had to replace the accounting standards, that has already taken place. Now changes will still be there, but it won't be so drastic. So these 2 subjects you can plan next. Okay, why I'm talking about FR with audit? Because there are certain things in common and you will be able to conceptually relate the 2 subjects. These 2 classes you should plan in next 4 to 5 months, which means by end of your first year, 1 month or 2 months, you should be done with these 4 papers. Okay, costing, SFM, FR and audit. Next, what you can plan is you can go for law classes. Okay, whether you go for live classes, you go for video classes, it's up to you. That I'm not discussing in this video, but then you should target law next. And after law, depending on the time that you have in hand, you have to plan classes for DT and IDT. Some people take it simultaneously because they go to the same place for the classes, and if you want you can still break it down. Why we plan DT IDT towards the end is for simple reason, because these 2 subjects will be most subject to amendments and changes will be there. So we don't want to take classes 2 years in advance and then later again have to follow up with the faculty, go for the classes, do the amendments. Creates a lot of confusion and there is duplicacy of hard work on your part. So better plan your DT IDT towards the end. Ultimately, you should schedule your classes in such a manner that with 3 months in hand you should be finished with all your subjects classes, right? And if you ask me, sir, should I take classes for all these subjects, I personally feel it's better if you take classes, because see, the whole idea of taking classes is to make life easy for yourself. Because if you don't take classes and you solely rely on the author book or institute material, it just takes more time for you. It's not that it's not possible. You have a example in front of you where I haven't taken classes for most of the subjects for CA final. I did most of the studies by myself, but I feel if you take classes, life gets a little easy because you have a faculty to help you, who will prepare the best possible notes for you. They will give you the notes, they help you understand the concepts, so things become much more easy in that case. So if you ask me, sir, should I take classes, answer is yes. But then you have to make sure that you plan your classes over a period of time sporadically, and you spread them over 2 years time, so that you don't at any point of time feel a lot of burdened or pressurized, and at the same time you are able to do your preparations also in bits and pieces over these 2 years. How you prepare in these 2 years has a big role to play in your success in exam. If you put everything for last 6 months, it takes you a lot of time to first come into the motion of studying. It becomes very difficult if you are planning everything in last 6 months, because CA final is, let me tell you, this CA final is actually voluminous, plus there are a lot of conceptual understandings to be done. So volume plus concepts becomes a little challenging. But if you spread your studies across these 2 years, then it becomes easier for you to grasp the concepts, and you start becoming better at it because you get ample time to revise your stuff. Okay, so once you have passed your IPCC, obviously you got to enjoy to the core, then take your articleship. But once you have taken your articleship, start talking to your seniors, ask them where to take classes, and start registering for classes one after the other. You have to plan your studies properly, and then CA final journey becomes quite easy. A couple of more important points. One is that I always tell this to my students, that your first attempt is a golden attempt. So you have to be very, very sincere and dedicated in your preparations, and nothing like passing in the first attempt. It's not that if you pass in second or third attempt, life is going to be tough for you. It's not nothing like that. But there, the things are much more soothing and comfortable when in the first attempt itself we are able to clear the exam. Less mental trauma, less tensions, and the journey looks much more smooth. Okay, another important thing I wanted to tell you is that last 3 to 4 months is where people take classes. I feel last 3 to 4 months is where you have to keep time in hand, because that is the time when you have to take some mock exams also. If you are taking mock exams, then you are already in that frame of mind of writing the exams. So it's not that we directly go and face the exam for the first time in the exams conducted by CA Institute itself. Okay, we have to take a few mock exams, so that we have done good rehearsal about the D-Day, and that gives you good enough exposure. And so when you write the real exam, you're already having a very good frame of mind. Okay, so this is how you should plan the classes, and I'll make another video where I will share the approach which you should have towards each subject, and I will also tell you some good author books which are tried and tested, and they turn out to be very useful for CA final students. Okay, if you still have any queries, you can just put your questions in the comment section below, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. I hope the video has been useful. Thank you. Bye bye. God bless.